Miami's hot, 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 fire. Miami's hot, 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 fire. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of The Real Housewives of Miami. And this is season 7, and this is a season finale, episode 17, and this is called Frosty Friendships. And child, this season finale, it was good. It was interesting. Did it deliver? I will say yes, for the most part. But was I very upset by it? Yes. This was a season finale where pretty much the villains won. It was not a good season finale in my opinion. I feel that way. So typically on this channel, I'm usually not a team, I'm not team anybody, but for those who've been listening to my Real Housewives of Miami reviews, y'all already know I do have a clear bias. I love me some Gertie, mainly because my favorite person in the show is actually no longer on the show. It's actually Dr. Nicole. I love Dr. Nicole on the show. I know she was the normal one, quote unquote. She was the one who basically wasn't all about the drama, but she also didn't take any mess. And Gertie and her are very close and were very close on the show, and they still are very close in real life. And so as a result, I kind of, in general, when I watch the show, I'm kind of always on that side. So Adriana has always been on that side of things for me. They've always kind of been on the same side of things because, some of the other women on the show have been acting like mean girls the whole time. And that's really, honestly, it's really Marisol who's the mean girl. And I'm glad, at least in this episode, she finally got exposed. I think she thought when she was doing the exposing, she thought she was being smart doing what she did, but unbeknownst to her, she didn't realize that she kind of exposed herself by trying to attempt to expose Adriana. And the thing that's funny is her bro throughout the seasons kind of set her up. And the way the show's been narrated, it's been set up to let us know that, Marisol is the problem and has been this whole time. And so the way I'm viewing it is this needs to be Marisol's last season for me. And I think for sure it needs to be, Julia's last season. And that's the other thing too. Adriana exposed them both at the same time. The way she was, the way she acted, her actions spoke louder than what they were trying to do. And that's what got me. And she kind of cleared them and did her thing by herself. She didn't even need the help of the others to kind of show it. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about a lot of what happened here in this episode. But let's get into it. Not much happened but the event. But a lot of things throughout this episode infuriated me. So let's really, really get into it. Okay, so this episode starts where there's two events going on. So Marisol is throwing her holiday party, and I'm not gonna hold you. As towards the end of this episode made me view Marisol not in a good way, at all. So if I sound a certain type of way, I'm just kind of irritated because Marisol, I feel is ruining the show. Marisol and Julia mainly. Them two are ruining the show. And really, if them two leave, I feel like we can get back to where we were. Because it's turning into, it's giving Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Fox Force Flunkies tease. And I don't want to see it. And that's what's happening to me. But anyway, Marisol is throwing a holiday party. And on the other end here, we have, hold on. We have Alexia and Frankie. They have a beauty bar event because they have their own beauty bar, which I didn't realize. I guess I kind of forgot that she had it, but because she hasn't really been filming in it for a while, but she has it. And so, but at Marisol's event, we see Jill from Roni. She makes an appearance, and then we have Gertie, Larsa, and Stephanie. And so they're basically, it's kind of like a holiday bazaar thing where they can buy stuff. They have a whole bunch of free giveaways and stuff like that you can get. And it's really, really cool and cute. And so while they're doing this, Gertie is like on one. She's on 10. She's kind of like going like, yeah, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. And you know what? It took me this episode to realize why I really like Gertie. I think most people get annoyed by Gertie very easily. And also, too, this is what also let me know Gertie totally has adult ADHD. Because Gertie reminds me so much of my aunt. My Aunt Sharon literally is Gertie. And they are like the same person. I literally feel like I'm seeing the same person on my screen. Now, given Gertie's more close to my age than like my aunt's age, but my aunt has always had a young spirit. Like my aunt's like my mom's youngest sister. So she's always been the cool aunt. But she was always the one who was like ripping and running, just like, just words per hour type thing. That was always her vibe, always her tease. And so she literally reminds me of my aunt. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what it is. And funny enough, not to put her business out here, but my aunt realized recently she actually went to a doctor's appointment and she got diagnosed just got diagnosed with having adult ADHD. And I'm just kind of like, this all checks. I'm not going to hold you. I was not surprised. It's like, that tracks. And so it's funny that we're seeing this on this show and that's how I see now. It makes sense why the girls are kind of irritated by it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this makes sense why I always just kind of had Gertie's back. Because I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's fine. Like, she's a lot. Like, maybe y'all don't have family members in your family who are a lot. Most of my family members are. I ain't gonna hold you, especially on my mom's side. A lot of my family members on my mom's side are a lot, so I'm not really surprised by any of this. But anyway, so this episode is when I kind of realized, like, oh my gosh, she is a lot like my aunt. Like, they have similar personalities. So that's why I'm like, yeah, go Gertie. But anyway, so then after that, Stephanie does arrive. She's the last to arrive at this group's event. And they all end up changing into these pajamas, these holiday pajamas. They're just walking around and it's kind of cool. So it's like a nice little fun theme party situation. And then on the other side, we have Alexia with Julia and Kiki. And honestly, I hate to be like this, but I'm not really interested in the other seeing this going on because I don't really see it for Julia, and Kiki has just been a disappointment. So, and side note, Kiki continued to disappoint me this episode. Spoiler alert. So that's kind of what happened there. But anyway, so then let's kind of get to what actually occurred at the two events, and then we'll move on to a little bit of another event that occurred, and then we'll go into the finale of it all. Okay, back at Marisol and Marisol's event, we see that Gertie and Adriana, they're talking and they're recapping and they're talking about Julia. And they're both really on the same side of things when it comes to the Julia situation. And Gertie is basically praising Adriana for like giving Julia, for basically having so much patience when it comes to Julia and handling the situation before basically Adriana has imploded. Because for those who've seen the previous seasons of Real Housewives of Miami, Adriana historically was always like the more she will usually get you together right away. So the fact that Adriana has been pretty much calm for most of this season until she's gotten sick of all the poking, it's been a big deal. And that's kind of what I'm gathering from this. And also, I did watch a little bit of this after show. I didn't want to watch the whole thing because I'll be honest with you, Julia and Kiki's after show annoys me so much. It makes me want to turn off the whole entire after show because I just don't believe anything that's coming out of her mouth. And it's just two pick-me's talking and I don't care. That's just how I feel about it. That's how it comes off. So, anyway, so then we see, on the other side, we see that Kiki and Julia are talking about the whole thing with with basically Adriana. And what gets me about Julia is she's always a victim. It's never her fault. She takes no accountability for anything. She is just forever a victim. And it's really off-putting and really annoying. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And a lot of things that she even said in this episode just really triggered me. She basically tried to say Adriana like has this issue of always going off on people. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure the producers did show that, but it's like, how many times though has Julia done things on this show that we're not talking about? Like the water thing, that's a physical altercation thing. And then also too, previous season, which I found out through watching another like Real Housewives show, not really show, but like a podcast. So someone formerly from Real Housewives of Miami, Julia attempted to throw a chair at someone last season, but they didn't air it. So Julia has patterns of violent outbursts, and she also has a pattern of also yelling and stuff. Everyone in this group has yelled at someone, basically. So yes, the producers were trying to produce a certain light and show a certain thing. I'm just kind of like, yeah, but what about Julia? And really, Julia, there's nothing interesting about her other than, I mean, there's nothing interesting about her. Nothing. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess this review may not be a review. This might end up being more of a rant because I was just so frustrated by things. But then the other thing that took place at Alexia's event is that we have, they're talking about Todd's divorce of it all. And Peter kind of shares his 2 cents about like, if she's to get back with Todd, it's not really fair to Frankie. And I think it has to do with the instability of it all. Like, are y'all going to be together or are you not? And that's kind of all how I took from it. But I guess I don't know what it is. When it comes to Alexia and this Todd situation, I'm not that interested. And I think it's the reason why I'm not interested is just because I don't know what to believe when it comes to that situation. And Todd isn't really on the show to really let us know anything. But it's also because Todd didn't want to be on the show. And I feel like that is the reason why they are broken up. So it just kind of makes me think, okay, I don't care about this all the way. But anyway, moving on. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention. So then back at Marisol's event, Stephanie then does ask Adriana, like, hey, I know you and Kiki still are not getting along. Like, because they talk about the Kiki situation a little bit here too. And Adriana's like, I just found it really hurtful that, Kiki brought up my age. And so then basically Stephanie's like, is it okay that we're still doing this? We're basically co-hosting this last event. And Adriana's like, yeah, I'm going to be in my best behavior. And honestly, she tried, but she just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And just to fast forward, but that is kind of what took place here. But anyway, so that is that on that. And then we move on to Julia's event because we find out that Julia has an event. And I'm going to breeze through this scene so quickly because I don't care. Okay, so then next we see that they're at Julia's event. And Julia's event is basically her singing opera and this, and the foster care charity situation. Now, I felt bad and I wanted to try to watch the whole entire scene because it has to do with foster care and like, her, basically putting that out there when it comes to Florida situation with that. But it's Julia. And her trying to make this opera thing a thing, I'm so over it. And this whole entire time, this scene, she basically made it a point. She didn't invite everyone, so she's alienating people. She only invited the people who were there. She basically stated that the only other person she invited was Adriana. And I feel like she intentionally invited her knowing she wasn't going to be able to be there. And so I'm just kind of over that. And Adriana's reasoning is because she had rehearsals. And we find out later on the episode, Julia didn't invite her until the day before. So, like, what was she supposed to do with that? And for her to sing opera. She basically made it where it had nothing to do with the charity, had more to do with her seeing opera. And we find out later on the episode that was Adriana's idea for Julia to do. Julia really had nothing to do when it came to this show. She basically used Adriana this whole entire time. And anyone who's watched the show, you kind of figure that's what was going on, because Julia really had nothing going on and she doesn't really fit in with these girls. Like, she's basically tried to morph herself to fit in with these girls, and she still doesn't fit in with these girls. That's just what it is. And she's so desperate to be on the show that she's doing anything and everything to stay on the show. And it's that, and we can see that. To me, it's pretty obvious this was going on. But really, she basically kind of goes off about how she's like upset that Adriana isn't there. And because, of course, the bros are eating it up, Alexia and Marisol, they're like, oh, your best friend isn't here with you. And it's like, Julia, use some common sense. You're talking to the enemies about your friend. You know, Adriana does not get along with Marisol and vice versa. And so it's kind of like, why would she be there? So they were pretty much the only ones at this event, and Kiki. The bros and Kiki. And Kiki is one of their minions as well. And we saw in this episode that she was acting as a minion. And I don't mean to call Kiki a minion, but she is acting like one. I'll just say that. And so I don't know what happened the rest of this scene, because I probably only watched about 2 minutes of the scene and I immediately fast forward. So that's kind of all I got from that. Let's get to the event and get into the fallout of what took place and why I'm just still like stunned about where things are at with this group and some of these women. Okay, so now we're at the main event. So, and this is Stephanie's event with Kiki, the holiday party, and then Adriana's performing. And let's get into all of it, because overall this whole thing was a hot mess. There's really no nice way of putting it. This event and everything was totally a hot mess. So first off, let's start with all the ladies are getting ready. So basically the way all the ladies were getting ready, there was a little bit of a Housewives montage. We see Gertie trying to match her outfit. We see Alexia getting glam. And then we also see Stephanie with her team getting glammed up and getting, hyping herself up for the event. And so all the ladies are showing up. They all look beautiful. They all kind of have a walk-in scene. Everyone looks good except for Julia, of course. Julia looks like a hot mess because she always looks like a hot mess. So that's kind of what happened here. And then everyone knows, though, that Adriana is performing at this event. So it's a known thing. You should not approach anyone when you know someone's going to perform. You need to leave them alone, let them be, and that be on that. Of course, that's not how that went. We see that we have, let me see here what happens here, because I was kind of irritated by how this went, to be honest with you, so I'm trying to keep it cute. We see that Kiki immediately tries to go to Adriana to talk. Kiki apologizes for the cake, but it was just like a very much, to me, gave an apology to, I guess I still don't understand why she stormed off. She explains why she stormed out because of the whole racism thing that got thrown out there. But now that I saw what happened this last episode, I don't think Adriana just pulled that out from nowhere. I really, really think that Marisol did some behind the scenes stuff and has been doing some behind the scenes stuff that made Adriana think that's what happened. because we find out later in this episode, Marisol did indeed do some behind the scenes stuff, messy stuff to try to make things happen. And essentially, Marisol manufactured this beef between Kiki and Adriana. She did this on purpose. It already basically, the misstep was a misstep and it should have been left there. But Marisol is using this. She has this bone and she's not letting it go. And we find out in this episode that's kind of what happens. To me, this is kind of how I'm interpreting it. So basically, Kiki's like, yes, I think you look beautiful for your age. And I'm like, just like, Kiki, see, you're still giving a backhanded compliment. And that also exposed Kiki. Kiki, this whole playing dumb thing, I'm not buying it. And to me, it just seems like Kiki, Julia, and Marisol are all three types of the same people. Like, they're putting on the front of who they are and they're not who they come off as. And Adriana caught it. She was like, oh, okay, that's rich of you. That's really, really rich of you. And so then from there, Adriana tries to keep it cute. She's like, it's a known thing. If someone's performing, you should probably not confront them before a performance about stuff. But at this point, I'm going to let it go for now. We'll talk about it another time. But I need to perform. I need to get ready for this. I don't have time for any of this petty stuff. And so that's kind of where Adriana's mindset was. So she really wasn't ready to talk to Kiki about all this stuff. Because I think there was clearly stuff that was on Adriana's mind that she really wanted to talk about. But she wasn't going to go there with her when she has to turn around and perform. And then we see later on that Kiki and Marisol try to force Adriana to have a conversation with Julia before the performance. And Adriana basically has to yell at them to go F themselves. Because like, yo, leave me alone. I need to get ready for this performance. And so that is what we see this whole entire rest of the episode is these women just poking the bear. And, but they're not doing it in front of everyone. They're doing it in a way where it's not obvious. So outwardly, it just looks like Adriana is losing her stuff. And it seems like to me, from what I'm seeing here, that must have been happening the whole entire time. I feel like that had to been happening the whole entire time because the way Adriana has went from being so happy-go-lucky kind of being there to her just being this version of her that we see in this last episode. That's the only explanation I have for it, is that this was happening the whole entire time, but we as an audience didn't even know. We didn't know that Marisol was behind the scenes pulling all the strings, basically being a puppet master. And to me, it's clear. And it looks like everything that Kiki's doing and has been doing this whole entire season overall is she's just been like the messenger and doing whatever Marisol wants for her to do. And really, Alexia, she's in it, but she's not really in it. She's kind of just, she has her own thing, so she doesn't really have to be in it. But because Kiki's so obsessed with being full-time, that's what we're getting. Side note, Kiki did show up and she looked amazing. And her dad showed up in this episode. And her dad, even though her dad might be kind of a little bit of a deadbeat, he's fine. I do enjoy looking at him. That is a beautiful looking man. And so basically Kiki brought her dad as a date for this event. But it's just messed up that this is what's happening leading up to Adriana's performance. So then fast forward, we finally get this performance. Child, so Kiki does this performance and not Kiki, sorry. Adriana, and this performance, it was a choice. And But to me, it was definitely giving a Housewives performance and not like she's Beyonce. And I feel like a lot of these women be trying to like give it to her as if she's like a Beyonce. It's like, it's Adriana. It's going to be a housewife performance, especially in the short notice and what they had going on. But what was funny at the end is she did this "I Love My Dog" song, and it kind of reminded me of like it was definitely a made for TV moment. It was equivalent to me to when randomly now to this day we have that K Michelle will randomly do Rashida Got Bags in her live performance. And because it's like, it's not meant to be serious, but of course these women are taking it so serious. Like, why would you sing about your dog? Oh my God. Oh my God. And the women, of course, who are doing this complaining do not have any talents of their own. And Alexia, I'm speaking directly to you. What do you do that's so talented? Don't worry, I'll wait. Yeah, exactly. So I guess for me, if you're going to criticize someone and take yourself so seriously, like, I need you to have some type of creative talent on your own for you to do all that. Otherwise, keep it cute, and keep it on mute. And of course, by the way, y'all know when I talk about these women, I don't take none of this seriously. I don't know these women in real life. The only two on this show that I probably would never want to know in real life, well, really, one is Julia. That's it. Just because, yeah, I just wouldn't want to. But anyway, yeah. So then other than that, in this episode, by the way, Lisa was in this episode, but she was just kind of there. Same thing with Larsa. They were both just kind of there. And Jody makes his appearance at the end of the season too. They're all just kind of there. Really, this episode was really about trying. I feel like a lot of these women were just trying to get Adriana to crash out and trying to expose Adriana. But it was kind of Uno reverse factor for me. I just saw that they basically exposed themselves without trying to expose themselves. So fast forward, this performance is over with, right? And people make their criticism, but then of course to her face are all like, yeah, you did a great job, the fake stuff. And Adriana's like, okay, cool. And just kind of trying to relax and trying to have a beat. But then immediately Kiki, immediately after this, we have Kiki trying to go to Adriana, and Adriana's like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you about this stuff. And then from there, we see Julia tries to go to her, and Julia's like, and Julia's just being so fake. And then this is when Adriana just has enough and goes completely off on Julia and exposes her for everything. Talks about how she was not interesting. She basically clung herself to her, gave her a reason to be on the show. Like, let's be so for real. Julia would have been a one and done season person if it wasn't for Adriana. And Adriana they really were using each other. I feel like really when it comes to Julia and Adriana, they were using each other. But what I see is that Adriana thought that they were really friends and Julia was just being an opportunist. And that's the difference. And so Adriana thought that their relationship was going to be like a Marisol and Alexia situation. It was never going to be that because Julia is an opportunist. And then this is where we have Adriana and professionals like, who takes someone who's been engaged 9 times seriously? Like, really, like, who is that? Like, that is a red flag. And it really is. I mean, and we knew that whole entire thing of Julia saying that was going to come back. But of course, because Julia kind of gives narcissistic tease, she sees that as a badge of honor. Like, that is the best thing ever, that all these women, all these people wanted her. And it's weird. But anyway, so then from there, after Adriana is like, leave me alone, we then see that now Kiki and Marisol try to talk to Adriana, and Adriana's like, leave me alone. I am not doing this with y'all. Leave me alone. And then Marisol then tries to proceed to say that that she met Ratchet, not Wretched, and tries to expose her for, basically saying the wrong term intentionally, and she gave that to her, this, that, and this, and but unbeknownst to her, and this, well, I mean like Marisol, this is really exposing Marisol for being manipulative and doing stuff behind the scenes. Because now we're seeing that, oh, this is what you've been doing. And we find out the reason why Marisol did all this and is really doing all this now is because she found out from Larsa that Adriana was talking bad about her to Stephanie. But really, Stephanie's the one who was actually talking bad about Marisol. It was not the other way around. And Adriana was simply co-signing the fact that, yes, this is the type of stuff that she does and kind of giving examples. And Marisol, you're not slick. Unfortunately, for those who follow the things behind the scenes, we have heard this about you throughout the years. And one of you is getting desperate to be full-time, the other one is not. Adriana, to me, doesn't seem like she's ever been given desperate to be full-time. That's why she doesn't give all of her life on the show to be full-time. And you are thrusting yourself, putting all this stuff out here because you want to be full-time so badly. And I feel like with Adriana, if they gave her the opportunity full-time, we will see more of her life. She would then show us. And to me, there's a difference there because one's giving desperation, one's giving, yes, if I can be full-time, that would be great. But if not, that's fine too. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here is the battle of all that. But then afterwards, basically Stephanie kind of breaks it up. She's like, look, I got gifts for everyone. And everyone literally stops arguing and everyone's okay because the gifts are happening. And it was quite comical how they just all were like, gifts. Okay, we can all be on the same team. We can all be on board because there's gifts. It was so funny to me. So that's what ended up happening. And so then afterwards, because the gifts are a thing, and we're happy that gifts are a thing, great, gifts, we then have the end credits of like what's going on with everyone. So first things first, I'll go in order. Hold on. You already know how I do. So we first go to Adriana. We find out she is working on taking her show on the road, but with one less fan in the crowd. She still is not speaking to Julia. No surprise there. Then next we see that Kiki and her dad's relationship is still a work in progress. Meanwhile, she's getting ready to purchase her first condo, and it's in Stephanie's new one of Stephanie's new buildings. So there's that. We then see that Larsa is finally dating, and her place is progressing when it comes to like her new house. And Jeff, the guy she's dating, they're predicted they'll be married at the end of the year. And so just in case, Larsa's planning on freezing more eggs. And then we have Gertie. She's continuing to take solo therapy, but she also has no plans for additional reconstructive surgery. And we already know she don't need it. Her body is tea. She's looking great these days. And then we see that Lisa is inspired. Lisa's doing good. Her divorce is final for the most part. She is inspired. She was inspired by her horrible divorce, and her and Jody developed an app called Splitwell. But her marriage proposal is still in development. So that's pretty much what ties her up. We find out that Stephanie, because some of this happened after the event. They're kind of showing them afterwards. Soon after Stephanie's dream came true, because Stephanie wants to be able to at least talk to one of her sisters and get things resolved. So she finally did talk to one of her twins, but the other one she hasn't talked to the other one. So she's trying to get some of her stuff resolved, and that's kind of what's going on with that with Stephanie. And then Marisol and Steve are still looking for their next wedding location. Water will not be served, but alcohol will be. Okay, I guess. And then last but certainly not least, Alexia's divorce is final. They have tried dating, but they have since broken up for now. And that's kind of where we end the season finale. And the next 3 weeks we'll be doing the Real Housewives of Miami reunion. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the ladies showing up and showing out. And the main 3 ladies I want to show up and show out is Lisa, Gertie, and Adriana. That's actually the main reason why I watched the after show, them 3 girlies, because I feel like them 3 are keeping the show nice, light, and fun. Larsa is just being Larsa. She's just kind of there. I do like Stephanie as a new addition overall this season. And then the others are just being mean girls, and they're kind of killing the show for me. So hopefully after this season and after this reunion, we get a shakeup, and that's that on that. But anyway, that does conclude this episode of The Real Housewives of Miami. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Yes, I already know I'm a little biased here, but please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.